Growing up as a kid, yeah. All a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from.
Okay, so now we are finished with the NFC. Now we're moving on to the AFC. So let's start with the AFC West. Now the AFC West is the most intriguing and interesting division in the NFL going into this season. You got the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions. You got the Denver Broncos with Drew Lock coming off a really impressive offseason, a great draft. You got the Las Vegas Raiders, and you got the LA Chargers. Now, let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs is a team that didn't really lose all that much, to be honest. They pretty much have the same team from last season. Now, they paid Patrick Mahomes to his super mega deal contract that will keep him in Kansas City underneath center for the next 12 years. And they just recently gave a new deal to Chris Jones. So the Kansas City Chiefs are pretty much set talent-wise. Now, from a talent perspective, I think that this is still the best team in the AFC West. But I do think that the AFC West is going to give them a little bit more problems than the past few seasons. Now, with the Denver Broncos, when they started Drew Lock, were really impressive. Drew Lock came in, won a couple of games, and exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Hell, he even exceeded my expectations. I felt Drew Lock still had a long ways to go, but Drew Lock showed a lot of promise in his first couple of starts underneath center for the Denver Broncos. Now, it looks like the Denver Broncos and John Elway finally have their quarterback of the future, and they have a good team around them. Now, they got a great wide receiving core. You got Courtland Sutton, who went to the Pro Bowl last year. You pick up Jerry Jeudy in this past year's NFL draft, which is who Denver Broncos fans wanted the most. They either wanted Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. And it's crazy because a lot of people didn't even think that neither Jeudy or Lamb was even going to be available for the Denver Broncos to select at their pick. But it turns out with the way the draft went, they had both of those guys on the board, and they went with Jerry Jeudy, who is one of the best route runners I've seen out of a guy coming out of college and all my years watching football. Now, not only that, but you pick up KJ Hamler as well, and you got Noah Fant at tight end, who is probably pretty much the best rookie tight end in the NFL last year. Then you also get Melvin Gordon in free agency, and you pair him up with Phillip Lindsay, so you got a very good 1-2 punch at the halfback position. So Denver, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay at halfback. You got Drew Lock at quarterback. You got Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler at the receiver position. And you got Noah Fant. Now the question is, with Denver, the offensive line. Now I think the offensive line for Denver should be pretty solid. I don't think it's going to be great, but I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be pretty solid. Now defensively, this is going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. Now last year, Bradley Chubb suffered an injury. I believe if Bradley Chubb stayed fully healthy, he probably would have had 12 sacks or more in 2019. So you got him coming back fully healthy. You pair him up with Von Miller. That's one of the best, if not the best, pass rushing duo in the NFL. Now, the secondary is a little bit of a question because you lose Chris Harris Jr., but you still got Jonathan Simmons at the safety position. So overall, I think this Denver Broncos team has the talent, the team, and the coaching to make it to the playoffs. And I think that they could potentially push Kansas City for the AFC West crown. Now, next up is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders is a team that I'm not really all that high on. Now, offensively, I think they're going to be really good. They had one of the best offensive lines in football last year. But the quarterback situation scares me. Even though I do think that the Raiders can win with Derek Carr, I'm not really sure what bringing in Marcus Mariota is going to do. Hopefully it pushes Derek Carr, but I think Derek Carr is a solid starter. I think he's a top 18 quarterback in the NFL. You can win a Super Bowl, you can make it to the playoffs and have success with Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr didn't have a lot of weapons last year. All he really had in the passing game was Darren Waller and Tyrell Williams. Now you bring in Nelson Aguilar, who I think is all right. Nelson Aguilar has a lot of talent. He can get open. He can create separation. He runs good routes. The thing with Nelson Aguilar is that he just can't really catch the football. But you bring him in, maybe he can resurrect his career with John Gruden and the Raiders. So you bring him in, you bring in Jason Witten, who's pretty much in there for, I guess, veteran leadership. And you got Josh Jacobs in the backfield, who is probably going to end up being a top 5 or top 10 back by the end of the 2020 NFL season. Now, defensively is where I have my concerns, because with the Raiders, their defense has been their Achilles heel for the last 3 seasons. Now, you bring in Corey Littleton, which I think was a very good addition, and you got Mason Crosby, well, not Mason Crosby, but Max Crosby, who was a pleasant surprise as a rookie, who I told everybody was a sleeper coming out of the 2019 NFL draft. You got Cleveland Farrell. You got some pretty good depth up front. Now, the linebacking core should be a little bit better with Corey Littleton, who is regarded as the best coverage linebacker in the NFL. But the secondary still it still scares me. I still don't really trust that secondary of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Jonathan Abram is coming back fully healthy because he didn't even play all that much. I believe he suffered an injury at the start of the season. So, I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders, I still have a lot of question marks when it comes to Las Vegas Raiders. Like, the Las Vegas Raiders are one of those teams that I need to see what they do on the field. But I don't really think they have all that good of a chance to win the AFC West. Do they have a chance of making it to the playoffs? Yes, but I don't think they have a chance of winning this division. The last team are the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I've been really high on the Los Angeles Chargers this offseason. A lot higher than the majority of people and the media. A lot of people don't think the LA Chargers are going to be that good because of the quarterback situation. But I made a video 2 days ago about how Tyrod Taylor is a good enough quarterback to get the Chargers to the playoffs. And I still stand by that. You see, Tyrod Taylor took a Buffalo Bills team a few years ago to the playoffs that didn't make to the playoffs in a very long time. He ended one of the longest playoff droughts in the NFL. And when you look at that Buffalo Bills team that year, Tyrod took them to the playoffs, they weren't as talented as this LA Chargers team. This LA Chargers team, they have talent all around. They have a pretty good offensive line. The offensive line wasn't that great, but they addressed that in free agency and in the offseason. The wide receiving core is still good. You got Mike Williams. You got Keenan Allen. You got Hunter Henry. And you got Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield, who is also could be the third best wide receiver in certain formations, in certain situations, when he's on the field for the Los Angeles Chargers, due to how good he is catching the ball out of the backfield and how good he is running out that wide as a running back. Then you look at this defense. I think the Los Angeles Chargers are going to have the best defense in the NFL this season. You pick up Chris Harris Jr., who was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL for over the last 5 seasons, and you pair him up with Derwin James. You got Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa coming off the edge, rushing the passer. You got Linval Joseph up front. I mean, this Los Angeles Chargers team has a lot of talent for Tyrod Taylor to take them to the playoffs. And also, Phillip Rivers, a big reason why the LA Chargers underachieved last season was because Phillip Rivers just turned the football over at a very alarming rate. So I think this LA Chargers team is being really slept on, and I think they are a dark horse to win this AFC West division. Now, I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this division, of course, because they still have the same team from last year. But I'm just saying that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't going to easily just run through the division this season like they have did the last couple of years. This might be the best the AFC West has been in a very long time. So I'm taking Kansas City to win this division. I think it is a good possibility that Denver could surprise some people and win it. But I think Kansas City finishes number 1. I think the Broncos finish number 2. And the Chargers finish number 3. I think they potentially could tie. I think both of those teams could end up having 10-6 records or 9-7 records. And I think the Raiders finish in last place with an 8-8 record or a 7-9 record. So that's it for the AFC West. Like I said, the AFC West is the best it has been in a very long time. Very long time.